Good afternoon, students of Chinese YMCA Secondary School. We are now going to play you the news clip from yesterday.
A Chinese University of Hong Kong academic appeared before a Sha Tin magistrate this morning to face 2 counts of murder. The 52-year-old man was arrested today on suspicion of murdering his wife and teenage daughter, who were found dead in their car in Ma'anshan 2 years ago after inhaling carbon monoxide. Officers from the Sha Tin District Crime Squad raided the home of Professor Ko Kim's son at Tai Tung village in Ma'anshan this morning. They charged him with 2 counts of murder. Ko was taken in an unmarked police car to Sha Tin Magistracy this afternoon, where the charges were read out to him. His lawyers did not apply for bail and he was remanded in custody. The case has been adjourned to October the 16th at Eastern Magistracy. On May the 22nd, 2015, Ko's 47-year-old wife Wong Siu-fing and their 16-year-old daughter Ko Lai-ling were found unconscious in their parked car on Sai Sha Road near Sai O in Ma'anshan. They later died at Prince of Wales Hospital. Post-mortem tests revealed the mother and daughter had died from carbon monoxide poisoning. Officers found a deflated yoga ball and several tennis balls in the boot of the car.
Former lawmakers Leung Kwok-hong and Lau Siu-lai took their disqualification cases to the Court of Appeal today. Winner Wong reports.
Leung Kwok-hong and Lau Siu-lai were at the High Court this afternoon, just in time to meet their appeal deadline today. Speaking to the press afterwards, Leung Kwok-hong revealed that he's become so broke that the legal aid department has decided to exempt all his appeal costs. In his writ, Leung pointed out that the Court of First Instance had found him guilty with reference to the National People's Congress's interpretation of Article 104 of the Basic Law back in November. He argued that this interpretation should only be used for future oath takings and should have no retrospective effects. The writ also said his umbrella raising, slogan chanting, and paper shredding should not be considered as part of the oath. Lau Siu-lai, meanwhile, has received help from a number of pan-Democrats and donations to the Justice Defense Fund. The fund was established in December last year to help embattled pro-democracy activists cover their legal costs. In her writ, Lau argued that it is a political decision on whether a lawmaker has taken an oath sincerely and solemnly. Only the supervisor of the oath, the LegCo Secretariat, should be able to make that decision and decide how to handle it. The court should respect the LegCo president and the Secretariat's initial decision to let her retake her oath. Last year, the government successfully ousted localist lawmakers Sixtus Leung and Yao Wai-ching for not taking their oaths properly. After that, it also decided to take on Leung, Lau, as well as Nathan Law and Yu Chung-yim for the same reason. The High Court finally decided in July that the 4 were not lawmakers and were subsequently disqualified. It's believed Yu and Law have decided not to appeal. Law is currently serving a jail sentence for his involvement with events leading up to the Occupy Central protests. With 6 seats empty, this has also undermined the opposition camp's power in the LegCo chamber. Many in the camp say the government has no excuse to postpone by-elections any longer, now that the dust has settled for at least 4 of the LegCo seats. Winner Wong, TVB News.
A woman has lapsed into a coma after being given an adrenaline shot at a beauty salon today. She was unconscious when taken to Queen Elizabeth Hospital. Police and medics were called to the beauty salon on Austin Road in Shim Sa Tsui at around 2:30 p.m. A member of staff told officers the victim was injected with adrenaline and then passed out. Officers are trying to find out what treatment she was receiving when the mishap occurred.
A Taiwanese activist on trial on the mainland confessed to attempting to subvert the central government in Beijing. That's according to videos of his hearing released by Beijing. However, Li Mingche's wife refused to recognize the mainland court's authority. Jeff Tang reports.
6 months after he was arrested and detained while on a trip to the mainland, Li Mingche appeared at the Yueyang City Intermediate People's Court in the central province of Hunan. In videos of his comments released by the court on social media, the community college teacher and a former worker of Taiwan's Democratic Progressive Party said he accepted the charge of subversion and expressed regret. I spread some attacks, theories that maliciously attacked and defamed China's government, the Chinese Communist Party and China's current political system, and I incited the subversion of state power, he said. It was the first time a non-profit worker has been prosecuted on such charges since the mainland passed a new law constraining foreign non-governmental organizations. Li stood trial alongside a mainlander Peng Yuhua, who confessed to creating instant messaging groups and founding an organization that sought to promote political change in China. The 37-year-old Peng told the court that Li had been involved in both groups. Activists suspect Peng was being used by authorities to help strengthen the state's case against Li. Li's wife, Li Chengyu, refused to recognize the court, saying she did not even hire any lawyers. She had asked her husband's supporters to forgive him for anything he might say that would disappoint them during the hearing. Releasing videos and transcripts of court hearings has become increasingly common in China as part of a push for greater judicial transparency and oversight. But rights activists criticize these open trials as nothing more than demonstrations of state power, as statements and verdicts are usually agreed upon in advance. Jeff Tang, TVB News.
North Korea warned the United States that it would pay a due price for spearheading efforts for fresh sanctions against the country. The United Nations Security Council will vote on new sanctions later today, following North Korea's latest nuclear test. Diplomats said ahead of the vote that a US-drafted resolution appears to have been watered down to appease China and Russia, which both have veto powers. It no longer proposes financial and travel bans on North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. The draft calls for a ban on Pyongyang's key exports of textiles and sanctions on oil and gas, less restrictive than the originally proposed embargo. Well, Hurricane Irma has weakened into a Category 1 storm as it veers towards the city of Tampa in the United States, but officials say it still poses a dangerous threat to the state of Florida. More than 3 million homes and businesses are now without power, while parts of Miami and other cities are completely flooded.
After leaving a trail of death and destruction across the Caribbean, Florida is now facing the wrath of Hurricane Irma. Irma weakened into a Category 1 storm as it headed towards the Tampa Bay region today. Tampa's mayor said his city was ready.
We know our number is coming. This is that day. We think we have a good plan, but you never know.
Despite weakening, Irma continues to pack a powerful punch, and authorities say the situation remains dangerous.
So everybody needs to be cautious. I want everybody to survive this storm. I want everybody to be safe during the storm.
The storm has already hammered much of the state, unleashing roof-ripping winds, storm surges, floods, while causing widespread power outages. At its peak, Irma measured more than 640 kilometers wide. Its winds of up to 210 kilometers an hour were so powerful they sucked the ocean water out of bays, followed by massive storm surges.
It's going to have an unbelievable impact. 10 to 15 foot of storm surge above ground level.
These storm surges have already swamped much of downtown Miami and other Florida towns and cities. Then there are the effects of the wind, with reports of at least 3 construction cranes toppled, 2 in Miami and 1 in Fort Lauderdale. More than 3.3 million homes and businesses across the state have lost power, and utility officials say it will take weeks to restore electricity to everyone. Irma is projected to continue north along Florida's western coast before heading inland.
The forecast track takes the center then into Georgia tomorrow, and then ultimately, if the system weakening, becoming a tropical depression by Tuesday.
President Donald Trump praised the work of federal and state agencies in saving lives and evacuating as many people as possible.
The Coast Guard has been amazing already. You've been hearing what they're doing right in the middle of the storm. FEMA has been incredible. We're working very well with the governor and the other governors in surrounding states.
But what of the areas first hit by Irma? With communications cut to some of the Florida Keys, where Irma made landfall yesterday, and rough conditions persisting across the state, Many are holding their breath for what daylight might reveal.